This saga's been going on for a long time, as we know. But one of the main issues is him at Royal Lodge. You know, vast mansion. It's in disrepair. Not as bad as people say. It's still, it's still got gardeners and it's still got people, servants and stuff like that there.
I think we'd all happily move in.
We'd all happily move in.
Prince Andrew has been living rent-free at one of the most prestigious royal homes in Britain for 22 years. He's not by himself, either. Even though they divorced nearly 30 years ago, his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, still owns a portion of the land. The startling reality of their arrangement at Royal Lodge, the 30-room home on the Windsor estate, has now been made public by an unredacted lease. Even though they are no longer in charge, the Duke and Duchess continue to enjoy luxury. Once the Queen Mother's cherished residence, Royal Lodge, was leased to Prince Andrew for 75 years in 2003. He pledged to spend £7.5 million on renovations after paying £1 million up front. In return, he received what is known as a peppercorn rent, just £1 annually, if requested from the Crown Estate.
Duchess of York, ready for the slopes, emerged from her chalet here at mid-morning to talk for the first time about the divorce.
Very well, thank you. And the children are very well indeed. Ready to go skiing. Sad day for you? Well, I would say that would be understatement. Yeah, very sad.
Thus, the Duke of York has essentially paid no rent for over 20 years. That's 22 years in a mansion that would fetch a hefty price tag if it were up for sale. The bargain becomes even more alluring. The Crown Estate would owe Andrew compensation of about £500,000 if he ever decides to vacate the mansion or is compelled to do so before the lease expires in 2078. Outrage over the disclosure has led to MPs and activists calling for explanations. How can such remarkable benefits be enjoyed by a disgraced royal who has been deprived of titles and official duties? Andrew's upfront contribution and renovations were intended to replace decades of rent, according to those close to the Crown Estate. Royal Lodge is more than just a house, though. It is a financial abyss. A 30-room home costs millions of dollars a year to maintain, staff, and heat.
We don't know where this money's come from. Sometimes finances, as we've seen recently with things like Dispatches programme, or Andrew himself with Epstein when he took money off, or Epstein gave money to pay off Sarah Ferguson's loan, or we got the oligarch that he sold.
This is where Sarah Ferguson reappears in the narrative. Fergie never really left Royal Lodge, even after their 1996 divorce. Since then, she and Andrew, who described themselves as the happiest divorced couple in the world, have lived together on the property. Despite living in different wings, they are nevertheless financially connected. They appear to be highly dependent on each other both emotionally and financially, and she has characterized their relationship as a partnership based on love and support. Andrew inherited the right to rent the Queen Mother's old house after her death. However, he no longer receives any public allowance, in contrast to other royals. Furthermore, new information reveals that neither his grandmother nor the late Queen Elizabeth II left him a sizable inheritance. That discovery poses a significant query.
His former house too for £3 million over the asking price. Sometimes money is the Achilles heel. Do you think we should know how Andrew has secured money to remain in Royal Lodge?
My feeling on this is, look, he's out of royal duties now, so there's a degree of he can, go about his life as long as it's...
How are Andrew and Sarah paying for their life without any inheritance or royal income? Since leaving the royal life, Andrew has been completely excluded from government support. He is now responsible for his protection, which was previously paid for the taxpayers. He was apparently offered a compromise by King Charles III. Charles might restore some private allowance and help with protection expenses if they moved into a smaller home, maybe Frogmore Cottage, which Prince Harry and Meghan Markle recently left. Andrew declined. As long as he follows the terms of his lease, he maintains that it is unbreakable and that not even the king could lawfully evict him. However, this is a continual source of annoyance for the king. The image of his disgraced brother and ex-sister-in-law living in luxury on Crown property has turned into a public relations problem at a time when Charles is advocating for a modern, slimmed-down monarchy.
Are innocent. Would you pay £12 million to someone that is accusing you of awful, awful things?
Inside the walls of the palace, some courtiers refer to the persistent issue as Royal Lodge. It's large, costly, and politically delicate. At least in appearance, Sarah Ferguson has been instrumental in maintaining the estate's viability. In addition to attending events and promoting businesses and publishing best-selling novels, she frequently presents herself as a self-made woman who has undergone numerous self-reinventions. Her finances haven't always been steady, though, as some close to the pair are aware. Fergie has experienced financial scandals, failed business endeavors, and bankruptcy warnings throughout the years. She has acknowledged in public that she made a number of errors, including dubious business choices and inadequate money management. She maintains that she is debt-free and self-sufficient today. However, according to sources, she still mostly depends on her ex-husband for support and lodging.
Yes, I know, but
And
it's
you're
the way
releasing your book, and you've
the
agreed
book
to do
I've
the
already,
interview
or,
because of
the
this.
book has already been released, and the thing is, I'm not going to go down to this point. I'm going to answer your questions, but that's done. It's finished. I've answered
Okay,
it. Thank
fine.
you very much. Moving on
Thank
to the
you,
next
but
question.
this is just the starting point of this year in your life that you've written
Okay,
about.
thank you very much.
6. Beyond just a house, Royal Lodge is more. For both of them, it is the final vestige of status. The designation of resident is something Andrew holds on to. Sarah holds on to the way of life it provides. According to Windsor insiders, the estate is a financial mess that requires constant renovations and a crew of gardeners, housekeepers, and maintenance personnel simply to maintain it livable. Furthermore, the couple's financial situation is still unknown in the absence of royal backing. Both of them have been mainly excluded from formal royal events, which has further increased their seclusion. Although the monarch has privately expressed sympathy for his brother, he stated that he is adamant about preventing Andrew or Fergie from returning to the royal life. Andrew couldn't have come to this realization at a worse moment. It occurs while his ties to the disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein and the persistent accusations that still plague his reputation are under further investigation.
Ever since Jeffrey Epstein was arrested and killed himself in prison, all the men who ever associated with him have come under fire. No one more so than Prince.
Despite his denials of any wrongdoing, Andrew has been irrevocably marginalized by the shadow of those associations. Even Sarah Ferguson is now feeling the fire as he deals with increasing requests from MPs to have all remaining titles officially revoked through a parliamentary act. In order to prevent further embarrassment, her children, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, discreetly withdrew from public events, including a charity ball in London, and she recently modified her social media names to no longer include the word Duchess. Nevertheless, in what insiders say is an effort to demonstrate togetherness, both girls have stayed faithful, regularly visiting their father at Royal Lodge. For the monarchy, the optics are awful. King Charles is working to modernize, cut expenses, and win back the trust of the people. His brother, however, is still able to live in a palace for free. Once a representation of royal elegance, Royal Lodge has come to represent royal extravagance. Critics claim that this reveals the institution's core double standard. Andrew and Fergie enjoy royal luxury without being held accountable, while working royals are subject to public scrutiny and duties. Although it would be politically and legally problematic, there is speculation that the Crown Estate may someday renegotiate or even purchase back the lease. Andrew may demand payment, and there would be even more indignation if it were made public. It took some time for their royal status to decline. Decades of scandal and poor judgment led to it. The declaration that Prince Andrew's titles will be taken away marked the official beginning of his downfall. In early 2022, following years of negative publicity and mounting public ire, the Duke of York willingly gave up his royal patronages and military positions. However, he ultimately gave up his ducal title completely this month. Andrew will no longer be addressed as His Royal Highness or the Duke of York in any official capacity, according to confirmation from Buckingham Palace. His title has discreetly disappeared from the royal website, although his biography is still available online. Sarah Ferguson's path was similar to his. She was reduced to Sarah, Duchess of York, after she divorced Andrew in 1996, forfeiting her ability to be called Her Royal Highness. Even that has diminished now that Andrew and their joint existence at Royal Lodge are under further investigation. She just dropped the Duchess altogether from her social media names. It's a symbolic change, admitting that she and Andrew are now merely nominal royals. Clinging to their joint residence, the last thing that connects them to the royal world, Two individuals who formerly possessed magnificent titles and international fame are now devoid of official standing. The Duke and Duchess are still firmly established at Royal Lodge. Although Andrew rarely makes an appearance and is infrequently seen driving around the Windsor grounds, the reality that lies beyond those gates is anything but idyllic. The upkeep of the property costs millions. The public's tolerance for royal entitlement is ebbing, and the king is growing impatient. Although a 22-year lease may be lawful, it appears increasingly unsupportable in the eyes of the public. The story of Royal Lodge is fundamentally about more than just a home. It has to do with what that house stands for. It tells the tale of two individuals who, after having previously occupied the center of the royal realm, now live on its periphery, clinging to the last vestige of luxury they possess. It's pride and defiance for Prince Andrew. It's about image and survival for Sarah Ferguson. It is becoming an increasing liability for the monarchy. Additionally, it serves as another reminder to the British public that royal privilege can still be safeguarded by royal walls in the present era. One thing is evident as the king proceeds with his plan for a more streamlined and open monarchy. The largest barrier in his way is now the Royal Lodge. Furthermore, the dispute between Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson will continue to cast a shadow over Windsor and the throne itself unless they ultimately decide to put their differences aside.